Hello, everyone. It's been a weird week for me, but I'm in the right mood. I'm in a good mood, so that's fine. A lot is going on between the dog still, the dog journey. If you didn't know, I got a dog maybe, has it been 2 weeks now, I guess? It's been 2 weeks. Never had a dog before, so it's okay. It's been okay now. Thankfully, we got a dog from a shelter, so it's 5 years old. It's been house trained already, and it was crate trained, so we can kind of like if we have to leave and no one's in the house, we can leave it in the crate. Just because we don't know how it will react when we're not here. So it's but it's still been. I've always been a cat person my whole life, pretty much, and you don't know what it's like to be a dog person until you have a dog, and then you're like, it's a lot more hands-on. You have to at least think about having to go out to go to the bathroom. Oh, hey, Furry Slayer / your local Cloud Strife. Cool. Yeah, I always wanted to ask you about Furry Slayer, but maybe we won't go there. So I like your new name. There's some comments before I even started. So Little Miss Kitten said you should try this with the expansion audio game, see if that works. Unfortunately, the NES, actually neither of the NESs that I have the expansion audio mod, the front loaders. So unfortunately can't do that, but that's right. Eventually I'd like to try it. And this is only like part one, I suppose, of this new NES front loader cartridge saga. So this is the NES Slotmaster, but there is also the Nintendo Drawer, is that what it's called? Nintendo Drawer, which is the other. It's a collab between Blue Shell and what is it? Rocker Gaming. What's his name? Yeah, Rocker Gaming. Yep. So that's a different style of mechanism. So we'll talk about both of the mechanisms. We'll look at the GitHub to kind of show what this is. I have a couple of other things to talk about before I want to talk about dive into the Slotmaster. So we'll come back to that. But I would like to compare the Slotmaster with, well, it's sort of not, you'll see. I do have a blinking light win, so we'll kind of compare it with that. But I think a lot of people are familiar with the blinking light win's death grip issues, so we'll talk about that. Obi-Wan, having a dog is having a kid, a lot of responsibilities. It's not that much. Maybe if you have a puppy, sure. Having to train a dog from scratch is a lot more, even more effort than just getting a dog. But there's issues with having a. Well, I have one kid, so I can't really say children multiple. But there's other issues with having a kid that are different, but I haven't come across all the issues with dogs yet either. So, but it's been fun. It's been enjoyable for the most part. I've been outside really more than I have been forever. I'm not really an outside person, but having to take a dog outside or just for little mini walks, because it's a small dog. I guess it's, oh, doggo. You want me on camera? This is Pancake, our dog Pancake. It's a Chiweenie, which is a Dachshund Chihuahua mix. This is my girlfriend Erin, by the way. So yeah, he's really calm. He's good with kids. For the most part, I mean, if it's chaos in the house, he will run away and hide. But he was from Texas, so you can kind of tell that he's not used to the New England weather. I live in New England, so it's cold, sometimes. So we got some jackets and stuff. I'm gonna.
You can dig it.
Oh. Yeah, I hold him like this. It's very cool having a small dog, because you can just be like, if he's not behaving, you can just take him. It doesn't have to you don't have to pull this big dog. All right, he wants to go. Okay, say bye.
Yeah, he wants to see me.
Okay.
He's looking at me.
Bye, bye, Pancake.
He loves Mom.
So yeah, it's. He's like, I don't want to say bye. Bye.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Bye bye.
Okay. Yeah. So. Thanks for bringing them. Yeah. So once we're on the cadence of how often he has to go out now. So in the beginning, we were just like every couple of hours kind of going out because he wasn't, we heard that shelter dogs, even if they have been house trained in the past, if they get, put into a new home, they might regress for a little bit. But, we figured it out. So every like 2 or 3 hours or so, we have to bring him out. So, yeah, he's scared. He's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what a live stream is. I don't know what. So he likes hanging out with Aaron more than me. So for now, but we've heard that it takes a while for a pet or a dog to get used to the situation. So, but it's the other part of the weird week is we had to put one of our cats down. Unfortunately, she had we weren't 100% sure because we didn't do the biopsy or whatever it is. There's some procedure where they can actually like definitively tell what kind of issue it was, but they did an ultrasound and it looks like it was some kind of a I can't remember the word, but there was something with her gut. So she was not eating at all, like anything. She wasn't eating cat food. She would eat human food and then she would like throw it up. So she lost a lot of weight. Like the vets had a chart of how much she weighed, and I don't want to get negative on the stream, but she wasn't eating, so we just had to do what we had to do. So that was like in the same couple of weeks here, or this same week. So it's like a lot going on. So how many animals? So we have one more cat left. We used to have 3 cats, and one of them was one of our cats was 19 years old, and we had to put her down last year, unfortunately. Then this one, the second one, had this cancer or whatever issue that we just put down. So that was the second one, and then the third one now is the last one that's still alive. But she's a little younger. She's like 12, so maybe a little more years out of her. And then we have some parakeets that I don't want to trash talk anybody, but our neighbor bought these 2 parakeets, and then they didn't want them anymore. They didn't want to take care of them anymore. So my Erin took out. We kind of like, I don't know. She likes animals a lot. So she got a cage and everything. So we have some parakeets, and then the dog. I used to have goldfish. Fish is hard. So fish is like really, well, at least goldfish too. Goldfish are just disgusting, and like you really need a big tank and all this stuff. So anyways, that was a couple years ago. So all right, enough with this. That's all right, Merlin. At first, I feel really bad. I felt guilty at first because they seem like they're still able, right? They're like moving around. They're like meowing. She was meowing. But she was just she was like in survival mode. So I kind of felt a little guilty because they didn't seem like they weren't like end of life age. She was only like, well, I mean, she's old, 15 or so, but it took me a little bit to find, to come to terms with that. This was the right thing to do. So yeah, soldering now. All right, so I'm going to shut up and I'm going to, let's talk about the project. I'll kind of talk about the Nintendo also and like why. Well, I don't really know. Like both of these projects, both the NES Slotmaster and the Nintendo are they kind of came at the same time, like similar times. It feels like the PCB on the Slotmaster says 2023. So I mean, obviously this Merlin Shaw's board. So Merlin Shaw developed the actual PCB at least over a year at least. So and I don't know how long the Nintendo was in progress. So I guess okay. Let me back way up. The original issue. I have other things to talk about, but I'll just save it for next time. I just want to dive right into this and move on, I suppose. So I guess the original issue is sometimes if you can see way in there, you probably can't really see in there. Way in there is the 72-pin cart. There's like. It is sort of a weird mechanism, right? Because like Nintendo wanted the North American NES to be like a VCR. So like you put the cartridge in and you push it in and then you push down. So like the cartridge doesn't even go in. It goes in at an angle. It's sort of a really strange, like the original NES is sort of an interesting mechanism. Oh, this by the way is the first mod that I ever did. So this is a NES RGB with cutting the holes and gluing and epoxied in, and so this is a really old mod I've got, but It doesn't have a cartridge mod. So, are there any Dead Alive games? Get out of here, Blizz. I've been working on it for over a year. The 3D model took the longest part. Interesting. So we'll get into the 3D model. I actually have both the original model. So this is one of the options, I suppose, of how you can use your Slotmaster. So I did print this out before I talked with Greg from Laser Bear. So this is, I don't know if this is a collab, Merlin. Maybe you can mention in the chat, but like, so Merlin designed the PCB, but Greg, I don't know, maybe he started with the original design and then he kind of went and made his own design that has an eject mechanism. So Greg, Laser Bear, if you don't know, is sort of like a 3D printing genius, wizard, I suppose, like come up with these crazy designs, and this is a cool mechanism. We'll take a look at what the mechanism looks like, but it's based off of the same sort of PCB, the Merlin Shaw PCB. So I guess we can take a look for a little bit. I don't know how much we can really, what this is really going to provide, but we could take a look at the GitHub. Okay, so I guess it's kind of interesting because there are a bunch of different versions, and I sort of want to, if you're watching, like this is the first version, at least Laser Bear is the first person that I know of to sell a kit, right? So you get, you like trains, okay. You get a, you get a kit, so it has the PCBs, and then it has hardware and the ribbon cable, and the cartridge slots. This is the part of the DIY kit. So, or the hardware, I'm sorry, this is even more DIY. So this is the hardware only kit, which means that you need to supply your own 3D printing pieces. And we'll kind of talk about the pieces sort of individually. But there are, oh, by the way, there is an affiliate link in the description. You can get 5% off your order at Laser Bear. So if you want to order one of these, any of the versions, right? So the hardware only kit, if you want to 3D print your own pieces, the DIY kit, which comes with 3D printed pieces, but you still have to solder it yourself, or there's also fully set up, all you have to do is screw it in and connect it versions as well. So take a look at the description if you want to support the channel. I get a little commission just trying to be transparent. All right, so let's go to so I noticed that there are, oops, click the wrong button. There are multiple versions now. So the version that comes with, or at least Laser Bear's current batch, I don't know, he'll probably keep up to date with, like, if you get this in the future, you might get a newer version than I have. So this is the version 1.8 of the PCB. However, I noticed just the other day, if you go to the DIY folder here on the GitHub, there is actually a new version. This is 1.8D, and I guess there's a lot of little subtleties, right, in the cartridge. It's not just a PCB with slots on it, right? Even the blinking light win, I believe, had at least one IC on it. I'm not an expert in like what the IC does, but obviously does something. Greg did the updates on his own. Oh, he did the updates to the 3D printing mechanism. Yep, that's cool. Did reach out to ask if it was okay. Yeah, it's cool. Great. Okay, so I'm sure in the future you'll get an updated version if you order this. Now, this is sort of an interesting update because there's some sort of a couple of features. I guess I'll talk one about the feature that I'm not really sure what it would do. There's this expansion header that is optional. That exists on the 1.8 version as well. So I guess I'm doing a comparison with the latest version and the version that I've got. The version that I have does have these expansion headers. The only difference with the new 1.8 is the MCU footprint for the AVR CIC. This bypasses the region lock. Okay, interesting. So that's what in the bottom or the middle left, I suppose here, there is a ATtiny microcontroller. It must run some kind of a program or something, little script or something that allows you to bypass region locks. I don't know what the optional expansion headers are for. Maybe future functionality or something. Maybe Merlin can mention that in the chat here if he wants to. I guess you can also bypass the. I don't know how well this is going to show up on the. I guess it's showing up okay. You can also. Oh, can we make this bigger? Oh, we can. You can also bypass those the CI the AT Tiny and the CIC thing if you want to. So like if you just want to make it a normal Slotmaster without having to do any other firmware flashing or anything. Yeah. Okay, so it's a two-piece PCB, but it's manufactured as one piece, which is kind of interesting. So we got to break it in half later on. So we'll get to that. That is pretty much all I think I wanted to talk about here. Oh, I do also want to mention that there is a second. So I'm assuming that Greg is going to keep up to date with the version. So the newer versions will probably be included in his future batches as he goes forward, assuming they pass, quality assurance or whatever. There is an interesting Flex version. Actually, was just released a couple of days ago, I guess, or at least this version of it was. Which instead of using a IDE sort of ribbon cable like this, it uses these flex cable, these like flex cables and flex cable connectors instead. I don't know what. I think the advantage is that all of the pins are connected, so maybe that is what the expansion connectors are for. I don't. Is that? Does that limit, like maybe you can't get expansion audio, or are there some pins that are not connected on this version that you would need the expansion headers for? Not sure. The header will connect all pins, not just the 64 pins that the original connected. Oh, okay. So the original slot didn't connect all the pins. That's interesting. Use expansion pins and not used on NES cartridges. Okay, so these might be, okay, that's interesting. I don't know why they did that. So anyways, this flex cable version does connect all of those pins. Just kind of a side note, I don't know the advantage or disadvantage of that, but I'm assuming that it's not necessary for most people. I'll just leave it at that, I suppose. Okay. Hey, Navigator, what's up? How you doing? The original 64 pin will connect expansion audio. Oh, okay. Interesting. So it has nothing to do with expansion audio. It's just expansion pins. Okay, got it. All right, so that's enough of that. But before we leave this, I guess I can actually show because I have. So if you, in this repository, the original repository, there are the included files. So you can go ahead and produce these PCBs if you want to. Right, so get you can source all the parts and produce the PCBs, and then you can 3D print the I guess they'll call it the stock tray or the stock cart tray part, I suppose, and that looks like this. So that it has no eject mechanism. So this essentially would make the Slotmaster identical. I think on paper it's identical to the blinking light win, right? So I'm assuming that the actual cartridge slot, like parts that we're going to solder later, are the same as the ones that the blinking light win uses. And so I'm going to also assume that this would have some death grip, the original version of the tray. So like there's no eject mechanism at all. This is just a shroud, I suppose, so you don't see into the NES. Yeah, I printed it. I'm not really going to use it. I printed this before I knew that Greg was going to share the eject mechanism files with me. So Flex version is more modern and less soldering, but offers no additional benefits. It's also smaller pin pitch, so it could be a little more difficult. But I probably would have rather soldered up that one, knowing how many pins we're going to have to solder here. So I'm just going to start taking things out of the bag. So that I can, like, if I want to show a part, I can actually show the part instead of just wave my hands at it. Okay. So I'm assuming these parts, which is what the actual NES cartridge is going to slot into, these are probably the same as the blinking light win ones. So like I said, this is probably going to be identical to the blinking light win if you use the original. The difference between blinking light win is it holds the cartridge out more by the door, so it's much easier to grab. Okay, so this actually would be an advantage over the blinking light win because it would stick out further. Okay, got it. So there would be an advantage, slight advantage, because I do have the blinking light win installed. It's fine. It's a fine replacement, right? If you're having well, with an asterisk, right? If you're sort of like me and you have an EverDrive and you're never going to take this thing out again, it's fine because you're just going to stick your cartridge in. Actually, somebody designed, I can't remember who, but somebody, I'm trying to wrench I don't have one of those cool plier things. Somebody made little 3D printing plier things that you can actually grab. There's ridges in the little tabs here. Somebody made a 3D printing thing that's like pliers so you can grab it out, but I don't have one of those. So I literally have to, it's just the weirdest thing. Like, I don't understand. Like, whoever designed the blinking light win was just like, yeah, this is fine. Like, didn't want to do any more work. Didn't want to, I'm trying to get it out and it's terrible. Oh my gosh. Well, it has eaten my EverDrive. That's okay. That's all right. I'm getting a Nintendo drawer, so eventually I will be putting the Nintendo drawer in that system. That's the Open Nintendo system. This is my older original NES RGB system. So we're going to put the Slotmaster in this one. More than likely the same part. There is only one real source for that connector. Sure. That makes sense. Hey, Greg, how you doing? Okay, so there is an advantage. I sort of want, someday, I would like to see a visual of like a side-by-side between the stock tray and the blinking light win and see how, like, if there is an advantage. I would like to see a picture because, you know, not, you know, with the creation of the Laser Bear kit, I don't necessarily know, like, if I'm going to recommend something. Like, if you're going to have to buy the hardware kit anyways, it really doesn't make more sense to print the traditional tray if the hardware kit include. Oh, I guess I didn't really mention. Well, I guess we'll dive onto the Laser Bear site too, and we'll talk about the available options. And as far as I know, everything that you need to create the eject mechanism version is included in that hardware kit, whether you're going to use it or not. Again, there's a kind of an asterisk there, and we'll run into those issues as we talk about it. Didn't RGR produce a new connector for the Famicom? Maybe he could make a real replacement. I don't necessarily know if the issue is the style or like the cartridge itself, or the slot, I mean, itself. If you have your original NES handy, and you do look into it, because of the way that the original, oh, I see. So like you're saying, if you wanted to replace the original mechanism and not need to change it to this newer style where it's like a more vertical or more horizontal, the actual pins are at an angle and they're like springy. So I suppose that's probably one of the aspects of why it fails. I mean, I have never run into a cartridge slot that has failed in that way. If it has ever failed, I mean, I've only ever touched 3 different NESs, so I don't necessarily know, like, you know, if I won the lottery, or maybe it's just not that as common as people say. I do like to experiment with mods, and that's why I have the blinking light win, so I have one. But the bottom row of pins is sort of springy, and that may be the reason it needs less force to come in and out. I don't know. I'm not sure. So yeah. So it would take a completely different, or not, it would just be a different shape. The bottom parts would have more springs or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, I'd be interested to see if Retro Gamer Store could do something like that with so that you can maintain the original part. All right, so let's now hop over to the Laser Bear. I'm trying to dodge all 5 of my cameras, not 5, but all my cameras. So I guess I didn't really show the finished product, I suppose, and let me do that first before we dive into the. Oh yeah, here. So this is what it will look like in the end, right? So one of the PCBs is going to screw into the back of this bracket, and the other one is going to just slot into, there's like a cart edge on the back of the NES motherboard. It kind of connects there, and then the ribbon cable connects the two together. So it is two pieces as opposed to the blinking light window, which is all one piece, which is, I see now, where if it was all one piece, you have probably about an inch. It goes back an inch or so, right? So maybe that is the big deal, right? So I'm trying to think in my head, if the cartridge was sticking out an inch more, it would be easier to grab the cartridges and take them out. So that's why it's two pieces instead of one. So, but this is what the original one looks like. Now let's hop over to, well, the pictures are the same. Actually, I don't know. Greg probably hasn't updated the, well, here's the video, the installation video that I watched it already this morning, so I'm not going to watch it now, or we're not going to watch it together now. But, oh, I guess I'll show the tweet. Greg had a tweet where he kind of showed it in action. I'll tell you, just because I want people to kind of be able to visualize what eject mechanism means, and not, so there's no eject mechanism with the original one, but it does stick out further, so it does have an advantage over the blinking light win. But okay, here's the video. Here's a quick Twitter video. So the little black tab on the bottom there is like a little button, and it like pushes some cams together, or forward, I suppose. It like twists some cams, and it pops the cartridge out a little bit. So you don't have to use any pliers or anything. You don't have to like wrench it out or struggle like I did and fail. So there is a mechanism to take it out. The Nintendo drawer, I guess we'll show, maybe I'll show quickly this and then the Nintendo drawer, which they are sending me a unit to check out. So let's see, that would be Rocker Gaming. The Nintendo drawer actually, like the cartridge, the slot, like the whole cartridge slides out. No, not the whole cartridge, the whole cartridge slot. Is there an original? This maybe? This, I suppose? So like the whole cartridge slot moves back. The whole mechanism is on a, like a little, I don't know, there's a little gap that it moves in and out. So while what we're doing now, the NES Slotmaster has a cam-driven eject thingy. You'll see that in a little bit. The Nintendo drawer actually will physically slide out while still being connected to the cartridge until the last minute where it will come out. So we'll do a side-by-side comparison. I'm going to put the Nintendo drawer and the other NES on another stream, and we'll kind of do some comparisons then. So you don't have to use pliers with the original Slotmaster as well, but Greg's mech is still amazing. Yeah, I just wanted to see. It's hard. I forgot that the blinking light win is all one piece. So now that you mention that, it would stick out a lot further, which would probably help you grab it a lot more. I have not had a chance to update the pics yet. You're getting swamped getting these ready. Yeah, I bet you. It seems sort of like a flavor of the month thing, not in a bad way, but like, just it was like boom, boom. Both this and the Nintendo drawer kind of came together, and like, you know, I haven't really seen any negativity. Like, there's no like you know, competition tweets or anything like that. No one really has mentioned anything like that, which I think is awesome, right? So I'm glad that everybody's kind of getting along with these two. I don't think we have heard what the cost is going to be yet on the Nintendo drawer, so we'll have to see. But let's just show over here on LaserBear's site. Like I said, there's a link in the description, an affiliate link in the description if you want to save 5% on your entire order, not just on a Slotmaster, but you can get other stuff too if you want to support me. In the description, there's three options, right? So I have the hardware-only kit, which is what I got. It has the PCB, it has the cartridge connectors, it has the flex cable that you're going to need, and it has the hardware, the screws that you're going to need. There is a DIY kit version, which has all that stuff plus the 3D printed parts, but you still have to put it together, which, again, you'll see tonight. And then the ready-to-install version, which has the 3D printed parts, a pre-soldered PCB set, and it's all together. So, and then the prices will change. So $25 for the DIY kit, $35 for the ready-to-install kit, and only $15. So if you've already got a 3D printer and you enjoy doing mod work and you you're handy and you can follow instructions, then that's not bad. $15 for a replacement. Whereas the blinking light win was, how much did a blinking light win go for? Oops, I spelled that wrong. Okay, I guess they weren't that expensive. I don't know if the part. I mean, these are never in stock anymore, so you'll probably only see them on eBay or something for probably more than that. But $30, I mean, and then you're paying $30 for basically an inferior mechanism because it's hard to take out. That's all. Okay, so let's just get started, and I'll go through the steps. We're going to start with the soldering of the PCB. So I've got my overhead camera still connected with my Garrote. I've never really cleaned this NES. It's pretty disgusting. I'm sorry about that. But that's for another day. You got yours for 30? Okay. Oh, it's 40. You bought yours for 40, Obi-Wan? The moving mechanism on the Nintendo drawer helps give a running start. Ah, yes. Interesting. So I'm excited to see that as well, because I think Rocker Gaming is going to send me one. So I watched Greg's video, and he mentioned that, so we're going to solder up the PCB first. It is tiny bit confusing, but it's not really that confusing. Really, all you have to solder is the cartridge slots on this version, right? So there's no jumpers to bypass the CIC thing. That may be a consideration in the future, but because of the version that I've got, I don't need to consider that. I don't know if Greg, if you're still watching, do you plan to, as batches come along, do you plan to update the PCB version, or are you going to stick with this version? Just curious, that's all. Greg, in the video, I pre-watched it, he mentioned that there is no silk screen. I think it accidentally either with their board, with Greg's board manufacturer, or possibly a problem with the Gerbers, maybe. There's no silk screen, so basically it doesn't really indicate which side of the PCBs that these slots go into, but Greg's video helps. So basically the only one that we want to solder on this top side, we'll call this the top side just because it has the silk screen, is the one that has the square around it. So this is the only one. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I guess we can breeze slowly through, or quickly, I mean, through Greg's video. I just want to double check that I'm not doing the wrong thing. So I just want to get to the part where they're assembling the PCB. It talks about what you're going to get with the kit. Okay, so yes. The 3 of them are going to go on the back side, and the one that has the indicated little thing is going to go on, only that one goes on the top side, if that makes sense. I'll show you in a second, I suppose. Let me get my iron fired up. Oh, he doesn't actually show it soldered up, but you can see in the background over here, there is only one on the top side, facing the top side. So let's do overhead cam. Okay, so let me solder this first. And I suppose, let's do, I've got a bunch of crap everywhere. I hope I can do this in an hour and a half. I was just talking, I'm just BSing a bunch in the front, in the beginning, I mean. Okay, so I'm going to just do one here, and then one in the opposite corner. I guess I should have done both, I guess. I should just have done one end. Ouch, don't touch the pins that are hot. Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was flat, and it's pretty flat. Yep. Okay, so now I can switch to my knife edge tip without holding the soldering iron while I'm freaking doing that. That's dumb. And then we can do a little drag soldering. Hey, Bartleby. It's just starting, JD Silva. Okay, so it's good to know Laser Bear, or Greg said that Merlin did test expansion audio, and it sounds like it's working, so cool. I did hear that something about, I think actually Blue Shell mentioned that it works with expansion audio. I don't even know why that was ever an issue. Did people think that it wasn't going to work? Is there electronics in the original NES board? Like, are there any ICs in the original board or something? That I thought it was just a piece of metal pins and plastic, right? So I didn't know why people thought it might not work, or why Blue Shell even wanted to mention it, because I don't see that. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure. Okay, so I'm just checking to make sure I have good soldering. Looks fine. Guess I should probably turn this around and solder on the other side. Probably should also have my fume extractor going. After I do this one, I'll bring it up here. I've been playing Fallout 4. If anybody cares, it's okay. I started playing it. Apparently according to my Steam activity, I started playing it, or I was last playing it in 2016. So 8 years ago I played it, but I never got very far. I guess I didn't really enjoy it then, or maybe I stopped playing it for another game or something. It's okay. It's weird to think that it came out, I believe it came out after Skyrim, right? I think Fallout, well actually no, Starfield is the newest. Voltpower was even singing its praises. Nintendo people made a big deal of posting. Yeah, I don't know, Little Miss Kitten. I have zero idea why. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know if there was any doubt that metal couldn't. I'm not like trying to like I don't know, start any drama or anything, but like I don't know. Was there a reason why people thought it might not work? However, I do understand that Voltar does have there is a open source design that Voltar created, and he's going to be selling some boards. So I can imagine he would be excited for something that supported expansion audio, because he would sell them. Which I will be buying. I want to buy some of those boards to put expansion audio in both of these NESs. For what it's worth, the high definition graphics pack and the new update. Oh yeah, it works. Oh, it works on the Steam. Yeah, I was having an issue originally on my computer because it doesn't like being run over 30 FPS or 60 FPS. I mean, so like if you just have uncapped frame rate, like the dialogue, they start laying on top of each other. So like one person will start talking, and then like a couple seconds later, the next person will continue the conversation before the first person is done. So I had to put VSync on, so it was like, there's a lot. Hey, scruffy looking RGB, you need to get me an NES. You don't even have an NES, and your name is scruffy looking NES, and it looks like your picture is of a Famicom, but you don't have an NES, a front loader. Jeez, front loader, by the way, is the superior NES, because the top loader, according to Red Herring, the top loader has noise in the design of the PCB layout. That's a kind of a fun fact. Okay, so we need to figure out now where the other pieces need to go. So I'm going to do this piece first. I think the video mentioned that this part oh, I didn't even mention that. So it is important to know that there is a. Oh, I need to double check that I did that correctly. There's a gap. There is a. It's for the flex cable, or the floppy cable. There is a notch on one side. There was a notch on the PCB silkscreen, and I just kind of ignored it. Let me just look back on that the video. I mean, I highly recommend you just watch Greg's video if you're going to do this yourself. Okay, so there is a little box on the silkscreen that's where you have to line that little notch up, but there obviously, because there is no silkscreen on this side, it's hard to know where to put this one. So I think this one has to go down like that. It's hard to understand. Oh, here we go. Yes. So I think here. This is the correct orientation. So the bottom part, the notch faces the cartridge slot on this little ribbon cable part, like that. So we're going to solder that up basically like that. Okay, so let's go back. So I want to do this one first, and then because the other ones are taller, so we'll do this, and we'll do some more drag soldering. I guess I don't need to switch to my other iron. Funnily enough, I'm actually working on an NES build right now, in memory of my late stepdad. Oh, so the Slotmaster is the last piece. I need to complete it. Well, I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how much stuff there is for the NES. Like, there really is a lot of, like, there's the aftermarket cases you can buy. There's the NES RGB. You know, hopefully Red Herring's not watching the stream. Yeah, it's an interesting console for sure, and it's before my time. I was a Super Nintendo kid. That was the first Nintendo. Well, I had an Atari before that, but the first Nintendo console that I used is a Super Nintendo, and then since then, basically, I've been an NES. Well, I was an NES fanboy for the longest time until what was the 5th gen? What was the one that had the Xbox, the original Xbox, and the PlayStation 2? I actually ended up getting all three: the GameCube, the original Xbox, and the PlayStation 2. That was the only generation where I've had every console of it at the time that it was modern. I did say that I was going to get the fume extractor. Maybe this is TMI, but I had a tumor when I was 13. I had a tumor in my back. It was actually a brain tumor type tumor. It wasn't a brain tumor in my brain. It was a brain tumor in my back. I know it's not funny, but I hope the sound of I hope the fume extractor is not too loud. Let me know. So anyways, I couldn't really walk. It hurt to walk. I wasn't like paralyzed, but I had pain. So it took a while for the doctors to figure out what was wrong with me. But eventually they found out that it was a tumor inside one of my vertebrae. It's like they actually had to cut a hole in my back into one of those vertebrae bones and remove the tumor through the vertebrae. So I have a hole in one of my vertebrae. Slotmaster's my porn name. Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, so because I had the tumor, I guess my aunt felt sorry for me or something, and she just straight up bought me a PS2, and that was around the time that my brother got his first job, so he bought the Xbox. So we were always Nintendo fanboys. So we had a GameCube already, so we had a GameCube. Then my brother got a job, so he bought an Xbox, and then original Xbox, and then my aunt bought me a PlayStation 2 as a gift, which is awesome. I love my aunt. So that was the only generation that I've ever had all three at the same time, or when it was new. Anyways, I have like I have the PlayStation 3 generation, all three of those consoles now. Like I collect consoles now, so it's fine, but it's sort of I don't have I have a PlayStation 5 and a Switch, but like I don't have the Xbox Series. So if I was more picky, I probably would want to clean all these afterward, but I'm not, so deal with it. Which got the most playtime? Who won the console war? Well, we liked playing the GameCube because it did have a lot of game. I liked the Nintendo games. All right, let me just make sure that I put these in correctly. I don't think these have an orientation. I don't know, man. I was a very big Xbox gamer with Xbox Live. So, and it was in my school. It was a very big. We were a big Xbox Live school. Like all the kids, after school, they would go home and play Xbox Live. So like that has a big place in my heart now. So the other, before I move on, go back to that story. The other slots, the actual cartridge slots, both go the same direction. So like it looks kind of like this. But I'm putting them both on there now so that it will be level. So I would probably say the Xbox, but I did like playing. You know, I played Kingdom Hearts. Like, there's a lot of RPGs that I like playing. Grand Theft Auto I played on the PlayStation 2 usually. Like Grand Theft Auto 3 I played. Tony Hawk's. Oh, actually, I bought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 on the GameCube. I don't know what was wrong with me. But because the Xbox probably had the best hardware. First generation I had all three at once was the Wii generation. So that would have been what? Wii, 360, and then the PlayStation 3. What a crazy generation that was. So yeah, I don't know. I never really. I guess I was still a Nintendo fanboy even then, even after having all three. Well, I did play a lot of, like I said. So later on, I ended up getting a 360. That was the one I chose over the. I didn't get a PlayStation 3. I got the 360. So to me, that was like the Call of Duty machine, basically. That's really all I played. Mostly all I played, I guess. Are you making two at once? No, this is actually how you have to. Well, you don't have to do it this way, but it's different than the Blinking Light Win. Let me turn this off. It's different than the Blinking Light Win. The Blinking Light Win is all one piece, and this actually is. Merlin mentioned that this, if you follow the stock Slotmaster, and you get the tray, the stock tray, or whatever, without the eject mechanism, the Slotmaster will actually have the cartridge stick out further from in the slot than the Blinking Light Win, because of this two-piece mechanism, right? So you break this in half. You can see the marks here. We'll have to snap those in half, and then if you look at the picture in Merlin Shaw's GitHub, the top part. Wherever that is, probably this one. The top part here sticks out further forward, right? So it'll be easier to grab from the hole in the stock, or in the shell, in the NES shell. So it looks like I'm making two pieces, but this is all you need both of them for one slot. So it looks weird, but yeah. 72, they are on the wrong side? No! These are on the wrong side? Oh, you're right. Look at that. Good call. Good thing I didn't start. Good thing I didn't start drag soldering those. That would have been a bitch to take out. Good call. Thank you, Greg. I was telling my great stories. My only story. Oh, I have a couple of weird stories, but one of them will probably never. I have a story, a hell of a story that will probably never see the light of day, but still lives rent free in my head. Okay, so like I said, I definitely recommend watching Greg's video and following his instructions on how to actually build this thing. What is happening here? So this side is out, but this side is not. Oh, okay, so it's probably not a great idea to pull on the pins. Gosh. What a fiasco. Okay, so heat it up a little longer. And now you can see the danger of pulling the slot back out is you can pull the pin out, which is not good. So just take it on like a hard surface and just try to push it back in. Yeah, just push it back up and then it's fine enough. It's good. It's level-ish. All right, so now I gotta do this one. You know what? Actually, I should use maybe I'll use my. Nah, that's right. I have my desoldering gun, but. Huh. You know what? I am going to use my desoldering gun. The problem is these pins are kind of not thick, but there's a lot of metal involved, so I guess you could probably easily pull them out. Or not. If you use the braid, you probably can't. Crisis averted. Yeah, that would have been like, damn it. It's definitely, I mean, for the price, Merlin brings up a good point. The ready-to-install version is probably where it's at for only, what is it, $20 more? Yeah, I don't know. Just save yourself an hour of time or an hour and a half of time, and just do that. But I enjoy the process, so. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. Okay, so then it falls right out. Cool. All right. Now I did it wrong. So these both need to be on this side, the unmarked side. Got it. So if you can read, you should be able to read a lot of the text. So like basically you don't want to cover up any of the logos or the silk screen or anything with the slot. Okay. So that's correct. Okay. Yep, definitely bust out the Hako. Just to be sure. All right, let's get this back on. I should build one of those, one of Laser Bear's fume extractor things with the what are those fans called? Those fancy fans that people like to use build computers. Why did I forget that word? The tan ones. I don't know. He has a design where he uses those really good silent computer fans. So anything is quieter than this fume extractor that I use. It's very loud. I mean, it's fine in person. Like if it was just you and you weren't streaming yourself, I mean, it's fine. But I already have it and Noctua. Yep, Noctua fans. I do wish that I'm counting down the days until YouTube allows you to have instant 4K. I really shouldn't stream in 4K unless I'm doing a scalar video, because I want to have the instant chat. YouTube doesn't let you do that yet on 4K videos, unfortunately. Do. I'll look at the chat in a second. I'm just trying to concentrate on getting this soldered. Oh yeah, so I would like to get the new. I'm waiting for Voltar to release the updated version of the expansion audio. He mentioned something about a potential. Maybe it might be on a specific motherboard, like maybe the top loader or something. There is a version of the expansion audio apparently that is solder or wireless or something, but. It definitely is, Ruben. The FR301 is definitely worth the price, especially if you're going to do mods for years. It is very worth it. So I would like to get expansion audio going. Just because I think it's one of those mods, and I bet you Voltar will probably have updated documentation, but the current version of the Voltar expansion audio board, the little tiny one, is an open source thing, and I don't think he sells them right now, or maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure. And I don't think there's a guide. I mean, it's obviously it's a very easy install. Like if you're already going through the process of installing an NES RGB, it's kind of like an added little, it's a very simple kind of thing. But I don't think there's like a guide on the front loader. Maybe there is, I don't know. Or you could probably just watch one of his live streams and he'll probably do it in the live stream. But yeah, it'd be nice if they was just on the page. Maybe I haven't looked recently, so maybe I'm super wrong and there is one now. I mean, this is not the best job ever, but I'm sort of trying to power through this. Unfortunately, not, you know, I would. Oh, don't drop your soldering iron on the floor. You know, I would take more time, and I probably would end up cleaning the flux off because you can see all the flux there. Let's see. Yeah, the delay sucks. Yeah. Long Island Retro. The front silk screen does say connector faces this way, so that should help in the future. Okay, so yeah, in the future when you get these kits, you'll probably have the proper silk screen that will take the guesswork out of which side these go on. Or get a Famicom disk system. I have, so that's an interesting future stream I would like to do. I do have both a Famicom. I have a Famicom, you know, that might, I would like to get, because there's a lot of mods you can do with the Famicom too. Well, we won't go there. I also have a twin Famicom too, so I do have a lot of Nintendo or NES-based stuff. Plus, I want to do a Tiny Nintendo. Plus, I heard the handheld NES using the real hardware. Plus, I heard that Red is making a smaller but still console version of the Tiny Nintendo. It probably will use the Tiny Nintendo mini cartridges also, so that is awesome. All right, so we're ready now, I think, to. I'm just going to reference the video. I guess we're not ready yet. We're going to put this aside, and we're going to work on building the eject mechanism part. So again, watch Greg's video. If you're going to build this yourself, watch go through his instructions instead of mine. But if you're too lazy for that, or if you don't care, then I'm going to do it live. So we are going to need to lube some stuff, and if you get the DIY kit version, Greg actually is going to include a small tube of, it's called Super Lube. It's just a brand name of silicone. I think it's silicone, right? I'm just having some water. I don't know what it's actually made out of. Something. It's some kind of grease. But they sell this at Harbor Freight, and it's pretty cheap. So yeah, you can pick this up at Harbor Freight pretty easily. But he's gonna include a little tube thing. Tiny Nintendo. Yeah, so the scary part about the Tiny Nintendo is creating an IC out of an NES CPU. I don't know how I'm gonna. I don't know. I would like to stream that, but how? It's just like I wake up all my whole house. Okay. So I'm kind of watching Greg's video. We need to bust out some hardware. So I'm watching Greg's video in the background while I'm streaming. Oh, let me turn this off. I don't need the fan anymore. I'm watching Greg's video in the background while I'm doing this. So the first thing we're going to do before we do anything with assembly is we're going to put these, are they all the same? All these nylock nuts? So if you don't know what a nylock nut is, nylock nuts actually have, the inside of the nut is nylon, and that prevents it from backing out. Oh no, there is some metal. Okay, so it's like metal with nylon in the middle, and it's supposed to prevent the screws from backing out. Anyway, so we're gonna put these nuts, into these holes here and here on this tray part, right? So Greg actually he uses these very long screws that come with the kit. and he puts the, well, actually, you probably could use the medium long screws, the medium screws, to get these started. And then if you grab I gotta reach over a bunch of stuff. So grab your screwdriver. Famicom Twin is a tough one to RGB. Yeah, the problem with the Twin Famicom is, unless you want to do a case mod or a cut mod, so like cut the shell, there really aren't as far as I know, there are no options for no cut. So basically, we're just trying to shove the nuts in the hole. I don't know how far in they need to go, but you know, I'll at least go as far as they'll. Okay, so they do kind of stop, and then you can back the nut out or the screw out. Oops. Hopefully you don't back the nut out. So all you're trying to do is get the nut in place before we move on to the mechanism part. So the goal was just to get the nut inside there securely. Yeah. Because the shape of the hole, obviously, it's the same shape as the nut. Oh, they do. I didn't even need to do that. So I'm curious. I don't know if Greg is still around or if he wants to. Oh, silicone with PTFE. So it is a combo of things. I don't know if you want to mention or talk, Greg. This is kind of a can of worms, but if anybody is able to talk about a can of worms related to 3D printing, it's you, Greg. I asked Greg, because Greg was helping me a lot. He gave me the files, obviously, to print. He did mention that the files will be eventually available publicly to print your own version of this. So if you get his hardware-only kit, you will be able to print the version that has the ejector mechanism if you want to print it yourself. So my files, I printed them in ASA, so it's not ABS. So ABS is what I like to print with normally on my Voron because I can, I suppose. ASA is kind of like ABS, but it's more, so the difference between ABS and PLA, before I move on, is PLA is easier to print, and actually it looks nicer. Like the prints, PLA prints look better, typically when you tune your printer is tuned. However, ABS has a little bit higher temperature resistance. And obviously I haven't proven that. Like I haven't done my own research. I just spouting what other people talk about. But yeah, that's kind of what I think. ASA is a little bit different or a little bit better than ABS even, because not only is it a higher temperature tolerance, it also is supposed to have UV protection too. So actually ASA is what they use a lot in cars. So they use a lot of car plastics use ASA. I've heard, I guess. But Greg mentioned that they print at least the Slotmaster in PLA Pro. PLA Pro is a mixture of PLA and some kind of additive that is supposed to make it a little bit more temperature resistant. I'm just curious if you're still here, Greg. Like, has anybody had any problems with any PLA Pro prints at all? I mean, I'm not trying to start anything. I'm really not. I'm just really curious. But it sounds like you have there's no problem you using and selling PLA stuff, right? So, just curious if you wanted to say a word or a sentence or something about that while I move on. Okay, so next, it's lube time. So I'm gonna grab my lube. I think this is already kind of open, right? It's not like it's, yeah. I have a little a paintbrush, just a dollar store paintbrush. We print in PLA Pro, which is slightly different polymer than regular PLA. Yep, should be able to put it on by hand. Okay. So now we got to put some lube on. Where do we start? We start with this piece, I suppose. So I'm going to use a paintbrush. Greg doesn't use a paintbrush. He just kind of glops it on. But oh God, this is going to be impossible. It's kind of working. If you've ever worked on lubing mechanical key switches, I've done 4 of those now, and I can't not lube anything with a paintbrush. It's such a good way to do this. Okay, so we want to basically put it on any place that's going to be touching other plastic. So these little So we're going to take this piece first, this little O thingy. We had a few prints in warp in Arizona in the dead of summer, but that's about it. Interesting. Huh. Okay. That pretty much lines up with I've heard from Humble Bazooka. Humble Bazooka had some blue retro adapters that he said a couple of them have melted, but like a couple could be just like one, and a couple in thousands maybe or something. I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna put some. There's no real like downs. I don't think there's a downside to overlubing this mechanism, right? So we're gonna do this, and then the face, because these are gonna go into slots on this other piece down here. You'll see in a minute. Well, actually, there could be a downside to overlubing in the fact that it might get your cartridges lubey. I don't know. They might start yeeting lube everywhere. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so these things, I don't know if this is enough lube. We can also put some lube in the hole that those will go into. But we also want to put some lube on these pegs. So there's some pegs. There's some pegs here. So let's add some lube to the pegs. Oh, gosh. Oh. 1 minute. I did kind of put some lube right where the cartridge is going to be. Okay, so maybe avoid, if you print, Greg mentions later on in the video, but these pins are not in the center. Like there's one is close, it's closer to one side than the other. And I printed the face, like on my print bed, I printed the part that is farther away from the pin face down, because I think that's what's going to actually interact with the cartridge. So I would try to at least avoid getting lube on this, because this is actually going to touch the cartridge. But it touches it on the side, so maybe I'm kind of overreacting. Okay, so we're going to lube the peg thing. Thank you, Greg, for humoring me. Like I don't know, maybe I super overreacted one time, and I was like, I think Humble Bazooka mentioned on Twitter or something about, I don't know, and I'm like, maybe I think I might have quote tweeted him. I tried to like make a point, but it blew up in my face. I said like maybe nobody should print in PLA anymore or whatever, but nobody liked that. I don't know. I understand that printing in ABS or ASA is more time consuming and well, at least tuning it, right? Getting a good looking print. Lube on the nuts, indeed. Okay, so I'm going through. Anywhere else we need to put lube on that side, that side? Oh, he puts it on the whole. Oh, okay, the whole face or just that part? Okay, so there's also this part here. This whole face. So let me get some more. This part on the bottom, I suppose, of both sides that is like angled in. So we're gonna lube that, and then we're also gonna lube this other side. If you're just lubing for assembly, just wipe off the excess with yeah. It's not gonna like blow your cartridges up if it actually gets lube on it. It's ABS is also dangerous. Yeah. So there is a. Well, actually, yes, ABS, well, probably ASA as well, does put off more. I don't know the proper. I watched a video about it recently about the dangers of 3D printing. Actually, in general, it's not great to stand next to your like PLA prints. Actually, it's not great to stand next to your 3D printer in general, like when you heat it, like you're preheating it. If you have I watched a video where a guy had a some kind of an air quality meter, and it would just like go super duper high, even just preheating, like when right in the beginning when your printer heats up. All right, so I'm gonna shut up about that. So let's move on to this. Oh, he does the cams next. So I don't think any other, you probably could lube this whole face, but I think just the pegs are fine. So that's that. Now we're going to lube the peg parts of the cams. So there's two cams. We're just going to put lube around the, so in I guess what I'm trying to say for the ABS, is more hazardous when you're printing. Obviously, Greg has a print farm, right? And so when you have a print farm, you have lots of printers, and you're probably going to be in the room at some point while the prints are printing. So that is a thing that he has to deal with. So I don't blame him for that's something I didn't consider really. I mean, unless Greg really enjoys wearing PPE all day long, like what is that called? Face mask? What is that? I don't know. Something like that. Yes, I did not think about that. Okay, so that's the cams. Just lubed around the pegs. I think that's all we have to do with the cams. I'm just looking at the video quickly. And then we want to put some lube on this part. Oh gosh, my nut fell out. Right around here, because this part here, this is the actual eject thing, is going to sit on this in here. So we want to put some lube in here, just a little bit on either side there. So just kind of like doop, 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 doop. Doop, doop, doop. Okay. I think that's it. I'm just looking ahead. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So I think that's it for the lubing for now. You probably can put lube in the slots here, but we'll have to see. I'm gonna leave it like this. One of my nuts fell out. Okay. So let's put this down gently so we don't lose. We have special ventilation and filtration. I did watch, I'll have to find the video and I'll post it on Twitter maybe. I don't know if people care, but there's videos of people talking about 3D printing and ventilation and stuff in China when they have, according to this one video, he had an example of this Chinese 3D printing farm that they had a whole room, actually not even more than per room. It was like per row of printers. They had these fume extractors going. This is pretty beefy things. Okay, so we put this down. We need this part, and we need the peg parts to be shorter, like toward the top, I suppose. And then the cams, we're gonna put the cams onto this part. And they kind of go, it'll be better when you see at the end, they kind of go like this. Like that. I know I didn't really say anything, I just said like that, but the pegs are at the top. The cams, the flat part of the cams are facing down, I suppose, and the cams kind of go like that. You can just kind of look at this picture, and the pegs of the cams are sticking up still, if that makes sense. And then Greg kind of just works the lube in like this, but since I already brushed it, it's probably fine to not really need to do that, but yeah. So he's working the lube in. Now we're just gonna kind of flip it over and orient oh gosh, the nuts, my nuts. Okay, one moment. Okay, so I need to tilt this kind of. That'd be interesting to see a quick video, Greg, of your ventilation setup. I'm sure people would be interested just from a, wow, that's neat perspective. Okay, so I think we want to just do this, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the slot, the little tab, I mean, into the slot on one side only. So just kind of angle it in there. Okay, then let's skip forward. Then if you look at the other side, we want to get the first part of the first lip kind of in there like this. I didn't really say anything, but you see how it's we're down in it kind of now. Now we want to try to get the cam. We're trying to get the cam into the hole. Actually, so I think we want the whole thing to be further forward. And the other goal is to try to get the peg on the cam into the hole, which is actually kind of easy. It's not really that hard. It's kind of like this little origami-ish. So that's that. And then I think then we can just kind of bend the whole thing. Make sure that the other cam peg is in that hole. I know this is terrible out of context, but and then like shove the whole thing in. So I think that was it. Oh my God, I forgot this part. Damn it! Okay, wait a minute. Go back. Watch, I bust it. I'm gonna bust it, aren't I? Oh gosh, that's annoying. No. All right, we can do this. All right, I want it forward more. Forward. Don't break it, please don't break it. Oh, okay, I don't think I broke it. I think it just went flying. Okay, that's good. I hope I didn't break anything. Okay. Do it again. Okay, like this. I think there's no harm in actually just putting this in here. Would you need to remove the top RF shielding in order to use this? I don't think so, but we'll find out because I don't have the shielding in my OpenTendo, but I do have it in my my older NES, so we'll have to find out. Okay, I think there's no harm in leaving this in here. And FYI, again, like I said, I recommend watching Greg's video, but this tab part, it should be kind of bent upwards and not the other way around. Thanks, Merlin. This is my specialty is being an idiot on stream. Hecklers sometime. That's right. Okay, so this. Ah, my thing fell off. All right, this goes here. Maybe that's why we can't really. Okay, well, hold on. This there. This there. These cams still in there. This is a nightmare. It was way better before, and then I messed it up. Okay, now I need to get a cam. This cam in the hole. Okay, one. Okay, now I want this here. Oh gosh. Okay. Now this is gonna be the hard part. You know what? I wonder if can I just do now. You know what? I need some more lube. Hold on. Hold that thought. If we can just goop it with a little bit more, it might get stuck in there. So let's goop some lube in the hole. This hole. Then we can do this. This will probably get stuck. Oh, no, not really. Okay, so I need to do both things at the same time. Okay, let's. I guess I'm gonna go for it. Oh no. Okay. I can't really talk right now. Everybody, shut up. Okay. Whoa. Oh, okay. Did that do it? Did we do it? Okay, I think we did it. We won't know. So I think we just want to cycle it. I do feel a lot of, ooh, it's camming. I do feel a lot of resistance, and I'm unsure. It's probably, well, it's most likely this part might be a little bit rough. Greg mentioned to me that it's important that these holes here. He told me to use supports, to put supports in those little holes, even though that's probably a normal gap that somebody might try to just bridge or like print with a bridge. it's important that that doesn't sag because you're literally, you know, this part is going to be sliding back and forth. So we're just going to kind of work it. Just a series of unfortunate words. Yeah, pretty much. That's. Oh, I have to make sure that the nut also doesn't fall out. All right, it's still in there. I think we're gonna move on, and then we can always. I think. I don't know. It's hard to tell if this is okay. It's working fine. Like the eject part is working fine, but obviously we don't have a cart in. So like everything is. We're just kind of working it so that everything is kind of getting lubed, and you're kind of like sandpapering the pieces. This is the worst stream to not have any references, any weird sex references. Yeah, I mean it gets smoother as you use it, I suppose. Oh, I guess you could do this. So like hold on to the cams and just do this. Yeah. Oh, God. Put this on Twitter. Yeah. Okay. I like it. It's fine. All right. Now we can move on. So that, I didn't really, the end, I kind of lost it, but more or less that's what's happening. So when you actually have the console or the cartridge in, this piece is pushed all the way back, which actually causes the cams to go forward. Then when you want to eject your thing, you push on the thing, the little stick in the front, which causes the cams to go backward, which causes that part to go forward. So it's a really neat design. I love this design for how simple it is and how few parts it is. And, well, Greg does actually put screws into, I don't think they're included actually with the kit, this kit, the hardware kit, I should say. They are included with, if you get the DIY kit version, I believe. I don't think I'm going to do this right now. I can always revisit it in the future. But Greg puts screws into this cam hole, and the little hole here where the little this eject mechanism part, not necessarily to like keep the cams from coming out, but he says to kind of stiffen the pegs, right, so that they might last longer, right? Because you'll have to again watch the video, but he explains it's because the layer lines of the 3D print are along those pegs, so there's a possibility that you might wear this out some time. So yeah, that's all I'll say for that. You can watch this video. He has a better explanation. Yeah. Oh God. Okay. All right. Now I think we need to move forward to using the. Oh wow. Okay. Greg actually kept the screws in with the nuts the whole time, so that's why. Pro tip would be to have the screws still in there and remove them later on. That's the pro tip. Okay, so I'm going forward in his video. I'm watching his video. Okay, so now we're gonna just straight up. Oh, that takes some force. Yeah. Okay, I thought that was gonna break easier. Okay, I'm starting it on my table. Oh. That was the most terrifying sound ever, but you just gotta just snap this in half. Remove your thing by moving it. Yeah, you know, after good pegging, you're okay. You really just want to snap this in half, and it feels wrong, but it is the correct thing. You have some dead Prusa printers you could repurpose. Nice. That's funny. I'm surprised, Greg. You're not upgrading at least one. Do you have a 4? What are they called? Prusa Mark IV. What do you use mostly? What printers do you use mostly for your print farm nowadays? Okay, so now let's go. Oh, did I reset the video? Through my bending of that thing, somehow I reset the video. Okay. Okay, so now on which board is this? This is the one that I think is going to go up here. Like so, I believe. So we'll revisit this one. Okay. I think the one that we want to, we need to do something with this one. So I'm going to hold it like this. Put the screw. Okay. So Greg, well, in the design, there's holes to reinforce these 72-pin connectors by putting a screw and the nylock nut. So we're going to do that. And I've got a little, I'll show you in a second. Got a little needle nose plier. Oh gosh, let's move this out of the way. So basically we're preparing the PCBs now for installing it. What is happening? Okay, don't install your things wrong. Hold on. I need a better tool. That's not working. Maybe this. I wish I had like tiny channel locks or something. Needle nose pliers is not the way to go. The breakaway tabs use 1 millimeter, which was a lot easier, but certain fab houses have a minimum of 2 millimeters. Oh, okay, interesting. Okay. So you're really just tightening these bolts on here. I think I actually didn't watch this far, or I don't know. Maybe Greg has an explanation. I think this is right, and I think this is just to reinforce this, I guess, because this is the part that's going to just connect into on the NES. Oh, he uses little channel locks, little. Not channel locks, but they're the vice grip things. I have his video on silent, so he might be talking about why we're doing this now, but yeah. Like I said, watch Greg's video when you're building your own. Okay, so I think that's this part, and I'm not gonna touch up these parts in this video. You could, I suppose, if you wanted it to look better, but I'm not. Now we take this part and bring back our cam thing, and I believe the I believe the part, obviously the part where the cartridge is going to connect, which is the 72 pin, not the smaller one, that's going to go on the top side, and this one is going to face into the mechanism, and that is what we're going to connect the longer screws with the nuts that we put inside earlier. Or not the long screws, right? Let's see, let me get to the part where he does it. I think just the medium-sized screws. I'm not sure what the long screws are for. Maybe I... Huh. My nut is not engaging. Okay, it's just kind of tricky. Because, like, you're trying to get the screws. Oh, okay, I think that worked. You're trying to get the screws engaged with the nut, which is kind of like floating in there, which is a little bit tricky. The 30 millimeters are for the original. Oh, yes, okay, that makes sense. So let me just show you. So these screws, the ones I was just using, so there's 3 different size screws. The smallest ones were for this this other board here. The medium-sized screws were for the ejector mechanism version. The longest screws are for the original stock version. So Greg includes any of the hardware you might need. And because there's no eject mechanism here, there's no worries about the screw being too long. So that's just a fun fact. Oh, I gotta scroll. Oh, let me scroll up here. I didn't read what we have 20. You still have 27 Prusa Mark III Pluses, then 4 Bamboo Lab X1Cs, 2 P1Ss, 3 A1s, and a handful of others. Interesting. I think 2 Voron 1.0. Oh, so you have the tiny Vorons and 2 Voron 2.4s. Look into VCore. It should be a free on this side. Oh, V-Score. Oh, I think, okay, I see you're talking to Merlin. If I have the blinking light win, is it worth upgrading to this? Yes, I would say probably. Vinny, if you are okay, I talked about this earlier, I suppose, but if you're a single cartridge person, like if you only use an EverDrive, I think there's no real reason to not. You just use the blinking light win if you have one already. But if you often swap cartridges, even the stock NES Slotmaster, according to Merlin, is an improvement because it brings the cartridge about an inch-ish, I would say, just guessing. It brings the cartridge about an inch further, or an inch out of the NES. So it makes it, even though it might still have the death grip, quote unquote, it would make it easier to pull out. Have the right tool for the job, yeah. That's funny. Bamboo is basically plug and play. Yeah, I know. I part of me, well, the problem is I want a multi-filament system, and there really isn't a Voron. Like, Voron doesn't make their own. I mean, the closest Voron one, I suppose, is the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder, it's called, if anybody knows what the heck that is. All right, I need to get my NES now, so that's the next part, is to take the NES apart. The Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder is an open source project for that is compatible with Vorons. There's a bunch of other ones too. People make these different open source filament changers that are compatible with Vorons, but I just might say heck it in the future, and I might buy X1 and the AMS because it is sick, and I want to be able to print multi-colors for things. So, even if I have to spend a lot of money. Sure, yeah. Oh, plus you can resell the blinking light win. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that. Yeah, if you have your own 3D printer, if you sell the blinking light win, you can get the hardware kit. If you are fine doing the mod yourself and printing the parts, you can sell the blinking light win and pay for the Slotmaster probably. So you're making a little bit of money actually if you already have a 3D printer and the filament. That's kind of funny. Okay, so let's do this. Take this out. Let's just dump the screws directly onto the floor. Oh God! Didn't think about that. Okay. So I do, as you can see, I do have the top shield, which I'm gonna reinstall after I remove all these screws. I have not taken this this NES or NES RGB install apart in a very long time. Okay, let's do this. We gotta take all these screws out. There are so many screws in an NES, or this, yeah. You know what I'm trying to say. Words. The Rabbit is like the MMU on the Prusa. There's too much work. Yeah, I've heard that you need a filament runout sensor in the tool head. Well, I guess there is a newer version that doesn't need it. That doesn't need that. But yeah, I don't know. Sort of the problem and the cool aspect, I suppose, of a Voron, but it's like it's not cool beyond like, hey, I have a Voron. Like, I spent hundreds of hours building and tuning this thing, and it's the same as you could get from for the same price from a Bamboo Labs. With the disadvantage of it doesn't have a multi-filament system. So it's just cool that I built it myself, but it's not cool in the sense of every other aspect, I suppose. So yeah, some year I think I'll get a Bamboo Labs. I did see, however, though, that the Bamboo Labs has mentioned the end of support for the X1 X1 and the P1S already. It's like it's a couple years away, but it's like, what? Okay, so let's get rid of the old cartridge slot mechanism. We don't have to like completely tear this thing down. We just need to get... I don't even know if I'm going to be able to fire this thing up. I could try really quickly. I'd have to grab my SCART cable. We'll have to use the RetroTink. My scaler stuff is all in disarray. Oops, one of those screws is longer, so that's actually this one. The back screws, I believe, on the stock... Excuse me, is it the back or is it the middle ones are longer? Oh, it might be the middle ones. Yeah, it's these two. These, let me... There are 6 screws that take the original mechanism off, and I think the middle ones here and here are the longer ones, and the back ones here are the shorter ones. This is the one. This has my original NES RGB. This is the first mod I ever built. It's been, as you can see, the palette. Oh, it has a. I think it has the in-game reset too. I completely desoldered the palette switch, but it's still just left in there. Okay, so if you've never taken apart the original mechanism, you do need to. I probably recommend. Well, it's kind of difficult. I think you need to slightly push the PCB kind of up a little bit so that the front of the tray covers this screw hole, and then you can slide it forward because it has to clear the original slot mechanism thing. Then this part will it just slides out the back. Oops, again, you might have to... Oh, I missed some screws. Oh, I gotta take these screws out. Missed some screws over there. Ooh, also, not to talk about 1,000 projects at once, but apparently there is a NES replacement power unit from Merlin Shaw that has been Zaxor approved. I'm not going to get into the whole backstory about that, but that means that I'll probably be looking into doing that in the future as well. Replacement power PCBs. Bamboo A1 Mini is probably the entry-level printer, the best entry-level printer on the market. $250 per single color. Well, and isn't there an A1? Isn't there a multi-material for that too? It's like that's a cool thing if you're okay with PLA or like anything that's not. Okay, so I'm trying to. You just kind of slide this out. So this is what the original mechanism looks like. There's no circuitry or anything. It's just this part. And this is the part where people say that you can actually boil it. Like if yours is on the fritz, apparently a workaround is to boil it and it straightens the pins or something. I've never done that, so don't blame me if you melt your thing. Okay, so now we've got to pull out this part, the flex cable thing. Let me go into the video. Okay, I'm just figuring out which direction the cable goes. So according to Greg, does it a specific way. In the first pin, which is in the first wire of the ribbon cable, is on the left side. So that goes into the mechanism part. So like that. Push that in. So it's like facing kind of downward like this. So we just kind of lay that here for a second. Then that means there's only one real direction for this to go. And that is going to be like this. Actually, maybe I'll do No, let me put it in this thing first. So it goes like this into the bottom part, and then I think it's done that way so that you can kind of tuck part of it underneath, like this, because then the bottom, this part will just go into this, into the slot on the NES. Oh gosh. Okay. Really not that hard to slide in, but yeah, cool. And then when you put it down, it kind of, the ribbon cable is sort of underneath, I believe. I think this is how it goes. Cool. And if you look, now there's no second, there's not 6 holes anymore. There's just, where's the 6th hole? Or where's the 4th and 5th hole? On the slot, the original slot? Oh yeah, okay. So there's only 4 holes now, I think. So the other 2 would have been both, 4 in this part. I hope that makes sense, right? So now there's only 4 screws that you have to put back when you reassemble this thing. And I'm not gonna put well, actually, I gotta test putting the shield, but you have to reinstall the screws. I know, I'm like getting ahead of myself here. Tucking is correct. That's funny. Okay, so let's get these front 2 screws in. Sure, Guardians projects. Only if it's a real Nintendo connector. The new ones don't. I have boiled mine several times. Oh, I see. So were there at the time there was probably aftermarket ones? I have boiled mine several times. It does work, but at least with mine they go back eventually. Okay, so it's not a permanent thing. 2 of the screws married with the slot and the tray on the original. This is why they are shorter and the other 2 are longer. Hey, Ian. Yeah, it's a cool project. Ian Scott, if you don't know, is the creator of the open source project PicoGus and probably other things. Ooh, I didn't see actually that. I would be careful. Don't screw everything down 100% yet, because if you notice, actually my holes don't line up here anymore. So now I believe we take the longer screws. There are 2 longer screws on the original NES. Like I said, those are the ones that would go in the middle of those 6 slots. But obviously that's just going to go directly into the Slotmaster part. So like these will just hold the 2 longer screws. And it makes sense why the front 2 screws have the divots. So these have little recesses, so they're the normal size screws. Like most of the screws on the NES are the same size except for these 2. So here, and then here, this gets the long screw. So now, before we kind of move forward, I do want to see if it clears the shield, because somebody asked about that. Is anyone making aftermarket NES shells that look like the originals? Yeah, there is. Retro Game Restore makes high quality replacement NES front loader shells. Yep, there's some clear ones, and I think there's a smoke black one, or like a smoke gray one. Okay, so let's test out. I am a little, well, it's not super poking, but I'm a little bit concerned with these pins maybe poking the flex cable here. I mean, it's obviously probably won't over time. This part of the mechanism doesn't move on the Slotmaster. If this was the Nintendo drawer, this whole front part I think moves in and out. So that means basically this is the only part that's going to move in and out, not the ribbon cable. But I would, maybe I didn't fold it down all the way. It really only makes sense when you have it on your own, or like you can visualize what I'm talking about. This flex cable, it's in here, and maybe you might pinch it on some of the exposed pins. So I don't like how much length the cable adds. I don't think the NES likes a lot of stuff on the cart bus on a system with an RGB mod and flash cart, you may start getting games. Oh, well, we'll have to see. That is an interesting. That's interesting, though. Glad you said that. All right, so let's test this. The kind of shove it in. It does. Before I do the eject, I guess I'll try it. So let me do the eject. Ooh, that is a nice feel, ejecting feel. So let me get this squared away better in the shot here. Okay. The actual insertion, you kind of have to be careful because, not careful, but if you try to put it in like this, I guess it's like if you just like jiggle it, I guess a little bit. If you can run into a scenario where you might have the cartridge crooked, and then you might break the plastic. Does that make sense? Like it's hitting here, it's hitting the actual eject mechanism. I don't know if there's a possible solution for that. I really don't. Maybe possible like a mini chamfer, like maybe like a millimeter or two chamfer on this part, because obviously the reason why there's a 90 degree, like this is flat here, the reason there's a lip on this part and that part is because that actually lines up with the cartridge, right? There isn't like a super duper satisfying feeling to put it in, not in a negative way, but it doesn't, I can't quite tell. Ooh, oh, the eject is sick. I can't quite tell when it's in. It just kind of goes in, and it might even be worse. Well, it's hard to, let me get it back together. But the eject is literally gonna. Well, maybe it works itself in, but it works well. The eject works well. So let's get this more back together, and then we can complain or talk about it more. It is a satisfying eject for sure. We tried our best to make a simple design that many people could get, even for DIY. Oh, I see. Did you work with so many jokes? Yeah, just gonna move forward with that. Where's the top shield? Oh, here it is. Okay, so it goes like this. So these 4 screws are the only screws. So the 4 screws for the Slotmaster are the only ones that you need to move forward with putting the shield back and putting the case back together. I'm just kind of tightening these better. Maybe I didn't tighten them all the way. Okay. Now let's put this top shield in. Oh yeah, there's plenty of room. It doesn't interfere with the top shield. So you could have the shielding in place. It's pretty, and there's even like, well, mine's, my original shield is probably bent to heck, but there's even a little bit of a gap. Okay, so let's quickly get all the other screws back together. Because I just want to test it. I don't know if I'm going to power this console on tonight. It's getting kind of late, and I kind of talked. I will power it on, obviously, and if I have any problems with the actual mechanism or like it not booting or something, I'll let you know. And like I said, this is just the beginning of this sort of NES cartridge replacement saga, right? So I'm getting a Nintendo drawer, so we'll have to be able to compare them together. But I just want to make sure that the mechanism itself is working. Oh, shit. I don't like these. Oh, you know why? It's because I don't have my, what are the Japanese, JIS or something? Japanese Industrial Standard, which is like Philips, but a little different. It's the wrong screwdriver. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, again, I'll say that I do have an affiliate link if you want to get 5% off your entire Laser Bear order. It is an affiliate link in the description. It does support. I get a little commission, so it supports me if you want to check it out. 3 more. Did I miss one? Oh, I will have 2 extras because of the 6 in the original cartridge slot. I made notes on the ribbon cable touching the PCB and will recommend masking tape. Yeah, masking tape. Yeah, a Captain tape maybe. I don't think, I don't think it's going to pierce the ribbon itself. But so many, Murphy's Law, right? Where it's a possibility someone's going to do it. That's all. That's the only reason I brought that up. Yeah, that's all. Yes, Murphy's Law. Oh gosh, I'm gonna strip this screw boss here. Oh, or it was not lined up. Okay, it wasn't lined up. Cool. Okay, so I'm not gonna put the lid on, or screw the lid on, but I'll put the lid on, and then we can test how it feels with the lid on. Ah, screw it. I might as well put the screws in it. What? Huh? What is... What? What's hitting? Oh. Okay. Sorry, I'm just kind of grunting. Just wait a minute, and I'll see if I can... Huh. Okay, so it's a little bit of a trick to get the actual case back together, I notice. Okay, now I know. Let me get this out of here, and I'll be able to show you what I mean. Okay, putting the top shield back, top case back on, is a little bit of a tricky situation. The 3D prints here, I chose black, so like it's not high visibility, but just kind of trust me. The 3D prints here are very, they kind of match very closely with these little tabs here and here on the top shell, okay? Mixed with the fact that now I understand why there is a groove. There is a little divot in the mechanism part. It's to match the divot in the top shell. So what you need to do is you need to line up this tab and this tab on the top shell with the actual 3D print. Okay, so make sure that those are in there first. But at the same time, you need to lift up on the tab, the eject tab, in order to get it to clear the top shell. That makes a lot more sense now. I was like, why is this going on there? Well, then you should be able to, it doesn't interfere at all here. And we'll run it in a second, but let's screw this in first so that I can have it all together. I don't even have a front-loading NES. What? Oh, the top loader, Ian. Okay. I say this maybe begrudgingly, but the front loader. Oh, maybe I should just do it. Just have fun. Just buy a front loader. It's just know that it may be the superior version of the NES. Some people believe it's the superior version. Come on, get in there. I just want to eject my cartridges. I use a screwdriver because my iFixit kit is not long enough. My iFixit screwdriver is not long enough to reach the down in these screws. That's all. Front loader gets all the nostalgia points. Well, I talked about it in the beginning, but red herring. Well, I have seen it in my own top loader as well. Red herring believes that the signaling on the top loader is actually inferior. It causes some noise in the picture. So the front loader, according to him, is, and from my own experience with my own consoles, has a little bit less noise when you upscale it and stuff. But top loader doesn't even have composite out without mods. It's true. Is it true? Oh yeah. Well, is it RF only? Really? I can't remember because I have done. Oh, I completely forgot that I did an NES RGB in the top loader too. Okay, we're back together. It looks nice. The eject button is out of the way. It kind of, it fits in a little groove. Actually, it doesn't even hit. It doesn't even hit the groove. So this is like, I do have to say that it may not be, well, it isn't possible, I don't think, because the cartridges would hit it. I wish there was a better way to retain this tab, so that, because you can kind of like flick it up and have it like do this. But you have to try to do that kind of, I guess. But that's just another little nitpick. So now we put our game in, right? It's just the nature of the cartridge itself. It doesn't have a super satisfying, hey, it's in there moment. You do have to kind of push it in more. Again, I will confirm that the console is working because, obviously I want to make sure that the soldering is done well. I guess this is a simulation of what it would be like if you didn't have the eject mechanism, right? So this is what the original Slotmaster. Okay, so I wouldn't need to just have the other version of the Slotmaster. I can just use my own. So let me do a side-by-side, I suppose, if I can. Just a visual of what I was talking about earlier, how the cartridge sticks out more. So this is the blinking light win one. Okay, so you have maybe about an inch space between the end of the cartridge and the front of the console. Okay, so just visualize is about an inch. I can't like get rid of this thing, so then the Slotmaster, I guess I could do this, right? The Slotmaster is about a half of a centimeter when the cart is fully installed to the front of the thing, and the case can actually still close. So this is the advantage of the Slotmaster over the stock, even the stock Slotmaster over the blinking light win, is in theory, right? Because I was really trying to wrench on that earlier. The blinking light win makes this cartridge getting out very difficult because of the death grip, they call it, where the cartridge slot doesn't really want to let go of the cartridge PCB. So that's the blinking light win. Versus the stock without the, even with the eject mechanism, you can still pull the cartridge out. It is death grippy. Oops, and I just bashed my camera. It is a little bit death grippy, but obviously I didn't struggle that hard. You can kind of see the force that is kind of needed. There's some force just without Laser Bear's innovation, right? So it is an improvement. Just the nature of the stock Slotmaster, right? But now the added advantage of the little button, it is kind of a no effort. You do have to push a little bit down on the button thing here. And it does take a little bit of getting used to, right? Because you need to have your finger in the right sort of spot. I don't know. Maybe kids may not be able to do it. A kid could probably push that in, and maybe a young kid might not. Whereas the original NES, you'd have no problem with a kid, pulling just because it's like a spring-loaded mechanism. A little kid would have no problem taking a card out and swapping it. versus this, a little tiny kid might, I don't know, maybe it wears in eventually, and they could, but I mean, it's fine. It's doable. So, let's see. Can I get it to shoot out? Oh, no, not really, because your finger kind of stops it. It doesn't fly out. But yeah, overall, I would say it's an improvement over the blinking light wind for that reason. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. It is, I don't want to say that this is not ideal, right? When I think about cartridge eject mechanisms, I don't think anything is more satisfying. Here, I'm getting another prop. And it's not really applicable because obviously they're apples and oranges, but nothing is as satisfying as a Super Nintendo like this, right? Like that is the most the most satisfying eject ever is this. But obviously that it's not top loading, right? There's no way you can really kind of finagle that into here. I guess I would like to see, it'd be really strange, but I bet you, somebody could make a top loading top shell. And well, I guess at that point you could just grab it out and it wouldn't really matter. But a top loading slot, right? So you'd have to make a new PCB with a 90-degree bend, so that you could use the original cart edge on the NES PCB. Then have the cartridge sticking out the top, and then have a button. That would be the most ridiculous update to the front loader, making a top loading front loader. So. However, I do think that Laser Bear did a great job with the best that could be done, I believe, in this circumstance. To have a cam-driven, highly simple, with in theory no additional hardware necessary other than the base kit mechanism. That's insane. 3D printed only, and it didn't take that long to install. So. I don't think little kids is ordering. No, I know, but I'm just saying, it's something to think about if you do this to your own console. Like, let's say this is your only NES, and you have little kids and you want them to appreciate your stuff. They may break it. I would be kind of, well, just knowing my own son, I guess I should say. My own son would be like, Hulk smash. So I would probably say, no, don't touch my stuff. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that. I would try to repair the working the original stock mechanism before I would have a kid Hulk smash my thing here. Look at the Micro Genius IQ 501. It was a Famiclone with an NES style, but top loading. So it cloned this, but it had a top loader. That's crazy. Maybe put a marking on the eject edge so that if it comes out enough, the cartridge is in far enough. Oh, I see what you're saying. So like a line here on the top of this thing. Well, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, because I mean it doesn't really, or like a divot, like a little in the top of the 3D print have a little gap. Yeah, because I mean the way that I printed this part, I printed it standing up. As opposed to like laying down flat. So I mean there's really I don't think there's a concern with like making that part more fragile, but it's an idea. This doesn't even play Minecraft. Honestly, that's exactly how every experience I have with my son trying to get him to play old games is immediate boredom and goes to play something else. So the struggle is real. I try but fail. But yes, definitely an actual win over the blinking light win. An awesome mechanism. Yeah. All right. I'm going to head out. I need to go bring my dog outside now. That's a weird thing. He needs to go to the bathroom. Thanks again for Merlin Shaw for designing the PCB, and anyone else who helped Merlin. I'm sure maybe he had some help designing the PCB. And there's going to be iterations of it going forward, which is I'm excited to see. And I'm excited to see how it compares to the Nintendo drawer. Thanks to Laser Bear for giving me letting me have the files a little bit early, the public files. They will be eventually public for people. So right now, you can order the DIY kit, but until Greg uploads the eject mechanism style, your only option is the stock NES Slotmaster files. Sure, yeah, no problem, Greg. And again, if you're curious and you want to buy one, I've got an affiliate link. Save you 5% on anything you order on Greg's store for now. So, all right. I don't. What's next? So I don't know how quickly I'm going to get the Nintendo drawer. I think Rocker Gaming, he asked for my address, so I don't know if that means he's going to immediately send it out. But I'm very excited to see that as well. Again, that will be less, I think, of me assembling it. I think it will be already assembled, not in a console, obviously, but I don't know what that landscape is going to look like. If they're going to offer a DIY kit or print your own, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure what the price will be like either. And it's a slightly different mechanism where the whole cartridge slot part moves instead of just the cam that pushes the card out. So that, we'll have to see. This was originally not going to be this. This was actually Wednesday was going to be my stream. I wasn't feeling great on that day, so I missed that stream. But Wednesday I was going to do what I thought was going to be a chill stream, which I still want to do next available stream that's not the Nintendo slot stuff, because I think people want to see that stuff before they buy. They want to see kind of both of them. Where is it? I have the Will's Console Mods Saturn switcher. So I have a Fenrir in my Saturn. It doesn't have the CD-ROM in it, the CD-ROM drive, or whatever the technology is. The Saturn switcher allows you to use either the Fenrir or a disc, the original disc mechanism. So I've had that for years, literally years at this point, that I haven't gotten around to install. Well, maybe not multiple years, but maybe like a year and a half, 2 years. So I have that, and I want to install it so that I can just, I guess the ultimate upgrades for a console, right, is to have, if it's a disc-based console, is to have both the ability to play original media, the original discs, and be able to run games from an SD card. So I already got the SD card version, the Fenrir, but it's kind of a, oops, dropped everything again. It's sort of a CD drive, a CD laser delete, right? So there's no disk drive in here anymore. It's just your SD card. So I think that's going to be my next stream, is to bust this open. I haven't really played with the Saturn since I did the FRAM video and the Fenrir. So I want to put that in there just to get another mod out of my shame bin, my bucket of mods that I haven't done yet. So thanks, Greg. Thanks again. All right. Bye, everybody. I'll see you on Wednesday for that, probably. Put things off long enough and there will be a working flash cart. Procrastination wins again. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Nowadays, you don't even have to worry about either of those things. You don't have to have a Fenrir or do the Saturn switcher. You can just use the Saru, which is weird to think about now. But so this is kind of a not dead mod. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people still have a Fenrir and they are interested in this mod, but new people will probably want to just get a Saru and just do it that way. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday with another stream, something.